Bonjour et bienvenue à tous. Je m'appelle Donica et... No. It's in English. Don't worry. It's going to be in English. Don't worry. You weren't worried. You're hoteliers. Come on. Improvising when faced with a foreign language is half of your job, isn't it? Anyway. So, welcome to everyone. Again, I'm glad to have you back in front of me or to the side of me, or I don't know which way your computer screen is facing. Everyone's dressed up again, which is nice. Nice tie, sir. Hide the tag or I'll buy the same one myself. So we're in the fourth and final module of our first chapter, and to conclude this chapter on segmentation, we're going to talk about distribution. And since, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, we're going to start with the summary. We will be beginning with a listing of the most important distribution channels in the hotel industry. Then we'll go on to discover how to choose which channels to use according to the segments and personas. Finally, to conclude the module, I will talk about direct bookings because they should always be prioritized, especially when using an integrated reservation system and a PMS. You'll see why. Anyway, we're good. We're ready to go. Let's go. So what are the most important distribution channels in the hotel industry? In order to get the basics, I'm going to quickly tell you what it is that we call distribution in the hotel industry. So the dictionary definition would be a set of operations and circuits that make a product available to buyers. So it's not very complicated. It's simply the means and places through which you sell your rooms. I mean, I don't think there'll be any big surprises to anybody when I tell you that these are the biggest distribution channels there are. They have such a huge weight because of their insanely massive budgets that you just see them everywhere. I'm obviously talking about Expedia, Booking, Airbnb. Any of these guys ring a bell? Like, Booking alone accounts for 70% of worldwide bookings. Let that sink in. Alright? The group also owns big names like Booking.com, Kayak, Agoda. Expedia represents 16% of the market shares. And the group is just as powerful. Like, it also has Hotels.com or Trivago, to name just two. Airbnb is a little different because they don't list hotels, but they are the undisputed kings of non-hotel accommodation. Apartments, villas, etc. And then there's other big names. They include Hotel Beds, HRS, Weekend Desk. There's plenty. And of course, social networks are important channels too, you know. Generation Z are fast becoming just part of the tourism industry and market. So bookings made via mobile are constantly increasing, and booking made via mobile are bookings made via social media channels, such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Finally, I'd like to finish this last point with a distribution channel that is admittedly losing weight, but it's still important. I'm talking about offline reservations. And by this, I mean reservations that you make by phone, by email, or directly at the reception. Receptions like this might be considered a little old-fashioned, but, I mean, small structures such as B&Bs or guest houses, well, they would still use them a lot. So, now that we know which channels are the most important, we can cross our first point off the list. But we must ask ourselves the question of how to choose which channels to go to according to the segments and the personas. So, we attack the second point, which will be in the form of an exercise. As usual, we take the results of the previous exercises to continue. This time, you're going to need your list of personas and the different segments that you created in the first module. As for our own Hotel de Club, which is starting to become quite well known, quite successful, I'm happy to announce, we know that our personas are the following. The couple in their 20s using Facebook and Instagram. The family in their 40s, 30s, teens and preteens using Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. And the businessman in his late 40s using LinkedIn, WhatsApp and Instagram. Now, with this information, I can attach one or more distribution channels to each of my personas. For example, the couple that uses Facebook and Instagram, it makes sense for me to tie those two social networks together and whack them on to a bunch of distribution channels where I'll also put my rooms designed for the couples. Same with the family's choices and same with the businessman's choices. We'll tie them all together. And as you'll see here, we can refine the results and do the same with the leisure travelers from the countryside, the leisure travelers from the city, the businessmen over 40 and the businessmen under 40, the groups that stay for 3 nights and the groups that stay for 1 week, and the St. Valentine's Day crowd, the Adele fans, and the people who are coming from France for the first time in their lives. So now it's exercise time. And of course, to get the most out of the exercises, I would suggest that you pause the video, do them in full, and come back to me with a sense of accomplishment. I promise I will be here waiting for you when you get back. Excellent. So you finished the exercises. We can cross out point number 2. Now, I didn't mention it in the first point because, I don't know, I like surprises. But the most important of all the distribution channels is the one you have the easiest access to, namely direct bookings, especially via your website. This brings us to the third and final point. Always, always, always prioritize direct bookings with an integrated reservation system and PMS to retrieve the data. Now, in telling you this, I'm clearly not reinventing the wheel because you know it already, but it is ultra important to always prioritize direct bookings, simply because it allows you to increase your revenue, since you no longer have to lose a share of sales to unfair OTA commissions. And then another important point of direct bookings is the data you can collect. By prioritizing bookings via an integrated reservation system on your website, coupled with a PMS, a property management system, you can collect a lot of data about your customers. And this will help you greatly in segmentation and forecasting, which we will see later in Chapter 3. And finally, the booking engine on your website is a distribution channel that can be linked to any persona or segment. The customer will be able to book whenever he wants and wherever he is. So, we can cross out the subject of direct bookings. And that's it. We're done with our 4th and final module. You should be a pro at segmentation, so you can drive the train, no problem from this point on. I'm getting off. Of course, feel free to come back to certain parts of the videos if you feel the need. I'll be waiting for you in the next video to launch Chapter 2 on competition. Have a nice day, a nice evening, a nice week, a nice life. See you soon.